Welcome to Living Life on the Max with Keisha B. Spivey, a weekly podcast that will challenge you and encourage you to live your best life yet. Hello there and welcome to Living Life on the Max. I'm so glad you've been continuing to hang with me as we've walked through week after week after week talking about overcoming stress. And the thing is, I've challenged you every single week to look in the mirror. Our last discussion was challenging you to enjoy your life. And I made a really bold statement. I said, if there's no fun in your life, it's on you. If there's no fun in your life, you didn't want it around, because if you did, you'd make it fit. You would prioritize it. And so I pray last week's message challenged you to rethink fun. Fun and recreation, they're not optional. They are necessary. They are vitally important to your overall well-being. So I hope you committed to enjoy your life the way God intended for you to, because I also said before you know it, it will be over. Just a quick recap before we finish up this series. In the past 7 weeks, we've talked about overcoming stress, not coping with it. We've talked about some life-changing stuff when it comes to literally stress prevention. It's so easy to look at all the stressors that press in on us from the outside, but what about the ones that we create for ourselves on the inside? We talked about, number one, knowing who you are. Identity. When you know who you are, then that helps you address some of the pressures that's coming at you. We talked about knowing who you're trying to please and all the issues of people pleasing. We talked about knowing what you want to accomplish so that you'll stay on mission. We talked about being focused and the pressure that comes with living with broken focus. We talked about asking for help, how it's not weakness, but it's wisdom. We talked about getting still, learning how to pray and seek God's face on getting direction and clarity about your day. And, last week we talked about enjoying your life, because you only get one and it'll be over before you know it. But the final lesson, as we talk about overcoming stress, is I want to challenge you to choose rest. Choose rest. Write that down. Choose rest. Number 8 in the series, I guess if we had to give it a proper title, it would be to give the stress to someone greater than you. If the load you are carrying is too heavy for you to bear, realize Jesus did not give it to you. He did not give it to you. Other people may have. You may have taken it upon yourself, but God had no part in that load. I want you to sit on that for a minute and let that thing seep in. The Bible says if you're tired from carrying heavy burdens, go to Jesus and He will give you rest. It goes on to say, take the yoke that I give you, put it on your shoulders and learn from me. I am gentle, I'm humble, and in me you find rest. We've heard this before, y'all, but this is Jesus talking to us. So I guess if I had to say what the final stress management lesson is Jesus gives us the example of as well, and He tells us to give the stress to Him. You will never enjoy true peace of mind until you develop a real relationship with the Prince of Peace. You can't have true peace apart from the Prince of Peace. Jesus didn't say, come to me and I'm going to give you pressure. He didn't say, come to me and I'll give you guilt and more burdens and more stress and more worry. The problem is, and I'm just going to say this and it might rub a few people wrong, the problem is that this is what a whole lot of religious folks teach. Too many churches and pastors are creating pressure instead of introducing people to the one who relieves it. Jesus said, I want to give you rest. Jesus literally is the ultimate stress reliever. He's not the one who's putting it on us. And when we get in harmony with Him, He gives us an inner strength. He gives us the confidence. It's a relationship with Jesus that gives me the confidence to say no when I need to, the discernment on when I need to say yes, and the clarity and perspective on how to balance and juggle all that life sends my way. When we think about resting and we think about releasing, we have to understand that only Jesus can transform our lifestyles from stressful to satisfied. And I'm going to say that again. Only Jesus can take you from stressful to satisfied. There might be some other temporary fixes, and there might be some other temporary things that make you not feel the stress. It didn't go anywhere, but Jesus literally takes that stress off of you. And then he replaces it with the satisfaction and a contentment that can only come from him. Only Jesus can take a problem and turn it into purpose. Only Jesus can take pain and make it work out for your gain. I know the world offers all these things. I have friends who take uppers who get started in the morning and downers to go down at night, and they take stabilizers to get through the day because they got all this stress coming at them. But I often tell them this stress is coming because they've taken the mantle on their lives to be everything, to do everything, and they've practically made themselves God because they feel like the world can't go on unless they do. The world won't happen and this won't come together unless they do it. They've taken on the stress of living their life apart from God. They're trying to do it themselves instead of trusting God to do the work within them. You're trying to solve problems that they aren't capable of creating solutions for. These people are trying to fix people that shouldn't even be in their focus because they are allowing everything out there to cloud their judgment. And they've literally made themselves an idol in their own lives, and they think that they can do it, they can fix it, they can change people. And the answer is they can't. And what happens is stress of trying to be everything to everybody, trying to fix everybody's problems, trying to solve everybody's dilemmas. This stress is literally you trying to do it on your own apart from God. And that will not work. That will not work. That will not work. I know drinking and drugs and sex and all these other vices may give you temporary pleasure, but I promise you, when the buzz or the high passes, when you wake up and you realize what you've done, when you realize that you fell into a trap, when you come to yourself, you realize this isn't life at all. That this temporary fix actually made you feel good for a season and for a moment. But the guilt and the shame and the pain that comes with it is with you long after you get up. So if you're someone and you're listening to this series and you've been walking with us for weeks, and you're like, Keisha, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? How do I get to a place where I know who I am and why I am and what I'm aiming to accomplish? How do I get to a place that I'm not trying to people please? How do I get to a place where I'm literally content in who God has called me to be and what he's called me to do? The first thing I want to challenge you to do is if you've never committed your life to Christ, you need a transformation. You need a transformation. Only Christ transforms. Only Christ can transform you from the inside out. Only Christ can take you out of that dark place and literally bring you into a place of light. Only Christ can literally take the broken pieces of your life and make something beautiful from it. It starts with a personal relationship with Jesus, the only one who can save you, the only one who can rescue you. Or maybe you say, Keisha, I'm saved. I got a relationship with Jesus, but I've only given him really limited access to my life. You've given him limited access, then the thing that you need to do is make him Lord. That's a completely different concept of him being your Savior and him being your Lord. See, with him being your Lord, you've given him rulership. You've given him access. You're not withholding any part from you, the good, the bad, or the ugly. What you have to do is come to a place with God when you realize nothing's hidden from him anyway. All he needs for you to do is to come clean with your crap. All he needs for you to do is to be honest about your hatred. All he needs for you to do is to truly, truly come to him, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and say, God, I'm giving you all that I am, and I want you to be the Lord of my life. I want you to lead me. Where you go, I will follow. You want to relieve some stress? You want to overcome some stress? How about take it all off of you and put it on him? If you're sitting here now and you're living stressed and you're living overwhelmed, you need to give your stress to Jesus. Maybe just take a couple moments and just get still and start listing out the things one by one that's weighing on your mind, that's weighing on your heart, that's stripping you of your joy, that's robbing you of your peace, these things that's literally stealing your life from underneath you. These funerals that I went to this week, these people were young. You never know when it's the end for you. So you have to live in a place of rest. You have to live in a place of contentment. You have to live in a place knowing that no matter what happens, today mattered for me. My life mattered. And you can't do that living overwhelmed, and you can't do that living stressed out. The only way I know how to close out this series on overcoming stress is to introduce some of you and to reintroduce others of you to the one who offers rest. That's what you need. You need rest. You need rest from this world. You need rest from its cares. You need rest from you. You need rest from you. He will give you rest. Stop settling for coping with stress when a relationship with Jesus gives you the power to overcome it and to rise above it and to soar and to become so much more than what you've become. It introduces you to possibilities that you didn't even know could be a part of your story. A relationship with Jesus lets you turn the page to a new chapter. Because we all got chapters we don't want read out loud. But with Christ, you turn to a new chapter and you get to change the narrative. A narrative that speaks peace. And I keep coming back to that word because I sit across some people often and they don't have peace. There is no peace apart from the Father. There is no peace apart from a relationship with Jesus. It starts there. And I pray that you're hearing my heart because you don't have to live a life that's sentenced to a prison of past pain and hurt and trauma and challenges. God says, I'll make all things new. Doesn't mean everything is wiped away, but it does mean you don't have to walk through it alone. He will walk with you. And I will tell you, knowing that I don't have to walk alone is a stress reliever. Knowing I don't have to do it alone is a stress reliever. Knowing that I don't have to have all the answers is a stress reliever. Knowing that there's one who sits high and looks low is a stress reliever. To know that there's a path and a plan that's been ordained for my life and all I have to do is seek his face and obediently walk that thing out, that's a stress reliever. And that's available to you. You can't get that in a bottle. You can't get that in a pill. You don't get that in a relationship. Not with a man, not with a woman. You only get that through entering into the relationship with your Father. So I appreciate you hanging with me these last few weeks that we've talked about that. Next week, we're going to be starting a new series that I'm excited about. It's going to be called Giant Killers. Giant Killers. And I believe it'll change your life. So keep hanging out with me. If this has blessed you, hit subscribe so we can stay connected. Or if you know someone that needs to be reminded of the power of rest, someone who's living bombarded, overwhelmed, please share this with them. I believe if you just share it with a friend, you have the power to empower and to refresh and refuel and send them in a different direction than they might have been on track for. I believe us working together, us talking together, us hanging out together once a week has the power to change the trajectory of our lives. So God bless you. Until next week, I will see you then and do you to the max. God bless.